The guts of this presentation is safety and a little bit about how the actual lab runs. So make sure you read your lab procedure as well. The basic chemistry here is involving metallic bonding. We have zinc metal and we have copper metal combining the presence in a base solution can create a zinc coating, and then from there can create a zinc copper alloy, which is gold color. So behind this lab there is a bit of the idea of the alchemist's dream, which for maybe 1,000 years alchemy's overall goal was to create gold, or to create some way to live forever, or both would be preferable. So this is generally a fun lab where we take a plain old copper penny and we convert it into a silver penny, and then from there we create it into a gold penny. So a lot of times this lab is, it's a fun lab, it's a cool lab, it's not real high tech, but safety still needs to be 100% on the front of your mind. There are some things in this lab that we want to be aware of. Okay, now I'll highlight a few things as we go along. One is goggles, an absolute must. NaOH is one of the main chemicals that we're using here, and it is, especially in the concentrations we have here, it will eat away your skin. Now, if you get it on your skin, simply say, okay, well, it feels slippery. All bases are going to feel slippery. That means it's literally exfoliant, like a soap. It's taking off layers of skin. So you want to just, calmly go to the sink and wash it off. It's not a big deal. But if it gets in your eyes, that's a major concern. Goggles must be on at all times. If you have a nick or cut in your skin, even if you can't see that nick, you might feel stinging. Just go wash it off. No big deal. Okay. But again, your eyes are an ultimate concern here. Fire. One, we're using a Bunsen in this lab, so tie your hair back and your sleeves rolled up. But ultimately, there is an option where when these chemicals, zinc and this base, are put in contact with like a combustible material like paper toweling, the exothermic reaction of zinc oxidizing can form enough heat to start it on fire on its own. So there is a spontaneous fire risk that we'll be talking about. Okay. Now, safety, okay, and I'll point out a few things as we go along, is a major here. Now, as far as the chemistry and the procedure goes, we have a ring stand here with a Bunsen burner and our evaporating dish. This is an evaporating dish. This is a qualitative lab, since I don't really care exactly what the proportions that are in here. I just got to make sure in here is going to be zinc metal, okay, and in this case a base, which is going to be the hydroxide ion, which is NaOH, okay? And in that as well, I need to have my copper penny, okay? Get all three things in there, and this reaction will run. It might take a long time to run because some reactions slower than others do. We use this flame to warm it up to increase the speed or the rate of this reaction. I can put a little stuff in there and let it sit overnight, and it will eventually go. But again, I want it to go a little quicker. So in this case, a few things you want to know. The copper penny, you'd want to take a copper penny. If you are reading this before the lab starts, bring your own pennies. Go to the bank, go in your couch or wherever, and get some nice clean new pennies. They will work splendid. Less dirt, great results. So penny is easy to put in there. The zinc, okay? We'll use anywhere from 1 to 5 grams. It'll say in your instructions maybe 2 grams. It doesn't really matter. We just need some zinc in there. Depending on how size we do. At the point where I'm making this video, we used 1.5 grams. Worked great. Okay. Now the hydroxide, the base. There's just need to get some base in there. There's a few ways we could do that. I could literally give you the base solution, and you could measure out a certain volume. This thing here can hold about 30 milliliters, or about halfway full. As I'm heating it, I don't want it more than halfway full while I'm heating it. So, whatever. If I give you a solution, whatever, we don't want to fill this more than halfway full. So I might have a beaker here with some of my base in there, and as I'm heating it and boiling it, I may add a little more just to keep it about halfway full. So in here I have about halfway full of my base solution. I have my zinc that's in there. Again, when you're weighing out your zinc, you don't gotta sit there and worry about every little speck. It's a qualitative. I need some zinc. And then your penny can go in there. You can put several pennies in at once. No big deal. Okay, so now I could literally give you the solution of hydroxide. Or if I want to make it a little more difficult, I could say, okay, weigh out X amount of grams of hydroxide and mix it with X amount of milliliters of water. If that's the case, you'd most likely do it in a beaker, measure out some solid NaOH, put it in here, add in some with a graduated cylinder. You'd measure out a volume of water, and you'd mix up and it dissolves so nicely. Of course, again, at that point, you'd pour some halfway full into your evaporating dish. Okay. Once all those things are in there, simply light your Bunsen burner. If it, for some reason, starts to boil too much, pull away gently the Bunsen burner. Lower the flame. Put it back. Keep it just on the cusp of boiling. We don't want to boil over. It boils a little bit, no big deal. But again, we don't want to just boil all the liquid away. A few things you might notice that is if we have a slightly too strong concentration of hydroxide in there, as it boils, you might, this stuff's very caustic, so you might get a little pinching in your throat, might want to cough a little bit. Okay, some people are more sensitive to this than others. You might notice I have a little cough as this stuff feels like it's pinching my throat because it's a little caustic on you, yet no one else even notices it. Different people have different reactions, but in some sense, if it's a slightly bit, too concentrated, we could have that result. It's not a big deal. We could add a little more water to it, dilute it out a little bit, and you won't have a problem. But either way, you should be aware that that stuff is that way. If you get it on your fingers and you touch yourself, you might get a little red mark. Your skin's a little more sensitive to it. Again, wash it off, not a big deal. Okay. So once you get everything in here and it's boiling, these chemicals need to physically touch the zinc. So if you have several pennies in there, you might want to use a little spatula to flip them over and turn around, just keep things mixed up nicely. It should be a murky gray color with all the zinc dust floating around inside there and reacting. Again, some things we would be aware of is that it's tipping over, spilling. Be careful as you're mixing and stirring in there. Once you're getting ready to take it out, I would use these crucible tongs to do this. This will nicely grab on to the edge of the penny inside of this evaporating dish, okay? And in fact, it will come out looking silver like this, okay? I would immediately rinse it off. If you set this thing is coated with the zinc hydroxide mixture, if you put it on paper toweling, this mixture will now be on paper toweling. And like I said, paper toweling could potentially start on fire. If you do then put it on paper toweling, this paper toweling would need to be rinsed in the sink and thrown away as a large clump of just wet water. Okay? Cannot leave it dry and set out. It has caused fires. So, in some sense, I would take this thing and immediately go to the sink, just rinse it off. Once it rinses off, you can grab onto it, and you can see, you can touch it. If there's any excess solid zinc on there, you can break it off with your finger, knock it off, and then again, nice, cool, smooth, silver penny. Okay. At that point, if you could either keep the penny as silver, or you could bronze this thing in the flame. Okay. As the flame runs, you just want to just whisk it into the flame, turn it over back and forth a couple times, and it will gently turn to an alloy of zinc and copper, which is very much a gold color. Looks just like this. Okay. So once you're done, all of this chemical in here can be, once cooled, can be just simply dumped into the waste container. Again, I could give you a straight hydroxide solution to put in there. I could give you a solid plus a liquid to go in there. Or I've had classes even just use the waste container from the previous class. It's got plenty of hydroxides in there. We'll add a little bit more zinc to it, and away we go. This reactor keeps on running. Plenty of base in there. So the Alchemist Dream Lab is a really cool lab that shows some, some very neat chemistry, but make sure we are aware of the safety concerns. Thank you.